Good morning, my moth dears. The penny stockings are ready to go, the first batch. I do think the first batch is spoken for, but I'm going to do a second batch as well. So this is what's in your kit. Where am I? You have 2 stockings that are cut, and they're age-dyed a bit. They're from an old army where am I? Oh, there. They're from an old army blanket, and both sides are the same. So you can use them as 2 stockings and put your lining on the back. You have lots of pennies. I've given you extra pennies so that if you want to do 2 stockings, you certainly have well enough there to do them. I've given you some thread. I put the thread on the top, so it's just enough to do the top thread. Well, for 2 or more stockings, it's plenty. These are the things that you need to be a bit careful of. When you do the stockings, this is the original. When you do the stockings, you don't have them stitched together before you put the pennies on, because it's too difficult. So you would stitch the pennies on first for your piece. Now, make sure that you leave a 1/4 inch seam here, and be careful of that, because sometimes if you don't have that seam or don't have anything there to show it, your pennies kind of get a bit close to the edge, and as with the stocking, you don't want them close to the edge. So what I would do, I would just do a little basting stitch around to represent your seam, and then you have easy going to put your circles on, because then you know how far away you will need to stitch your circles. And the other thing is, after this is your pennies are on, you need to flip it and put your pennies inside. Make sure you do that before you turn your stocking. And then after that's done, you will do the top edge here. You will do this after you stitch around and turn your stockings. Now, on my original one, I have 2 that have knots there. I have absolutely no idea what happened there and why I did that. This was originally for a wreath, outside for a wreath, so maybe I was going to do that with them all, but I think that would be a bit too much, really. I think they look good the way they are. The other thing is, and the reason that I didn't send my string is because you need a thinner thread for the smaller, where am I? For the smaller pennies. To use my age-dyed thread, it would just be too thick and it would be all one color. So what you need to do is you need to choose different shades of embroidery floss. And I think that's just 1 strand embroidery floss. And how to choose those, just choose it a bit darker than your pennies. If you're choosing a red, which I have here, you would choose it a bit darker than the red on your pennies. If you're choosing a light color, like a yellowy type color, make sure that it's dark. Don't use too much in a very, very light shade. This one is green. I use green, gray, what else? Mostly that blue, a little bit of blue there, to represent the navy, but I did the navy little pennies. Where am I? I did the navy little pennies all in red. But that's your choice. You can put your circles however you want them, whatever colors or whatever. Just the main idea is make sure that you keep them well in from the outside of your stocking, because you will need that when you turn it. And that's it. Actually, I think that's all that I can tell you. It's pretty simple, really. The other thing I wanted to mention, if you're doing a pattern for a stocking, and let's see, I'll get the stocking pattern here. It's a good idea to do a little swoop there, because when you hang it, it looks more natural that way than to just have it flat across. So I don't have a pattern in with this because everything really is cut. The stocking's cut. If you want to make more stockings, just take a pattern before you stitch your stockings together. And that's it, I think. We're ready to go. The other thing I wanted to show you is, move all of this. The wool that I used for the stockings, for the base, I had two, very unusual actually to have two alike. I had two army blankets, and it's USMC, so I would assume it's United States Marine Corps. Let's see if I can get that. Where is it? Oh my, this camera. There. U.S. Marine Corps. So I couldn't use that because of the way it cuts. You know, it's difficult to get that in. I mean, even that way, it takes some of the stitching off. And it also has stripes on it, so those are bad too. So I'm going to cut this one up, but I'm only going to cut as many as I have orders for, because it's really too good a blanket to cut and not use. Really nice. There have been a couple holes in it, and just remember that although I don't think there are any holes in the stockings that I cut, just remember there are imperfections. All my pennies are gone bad. So that is it. I know many of you are waiting for it, and I do have a waiting list, so I will put those on the website today, and I will notify you. If you sent me an email, I will be sending you an email today saying that your stocking is ready. And I hope you enjoy making it. This one was way, way back. And actually, I don't think I was even